Hello, it's Simon Zutshi, and in this property education video, I'm going to do a property update with the latest news that today the Bank of England have, as expected, reduced their base rate. They've come down from 5% down to 4.75%. And this is because officially, inflation is at 1.7%. Remember, the target is 2%. So I'm kind of surprised that they didn't bring down the Bank of England base rate more, but I guess they're doing it very steadily. And also, the other factor I think is interesting here is, will inflation remain to be below the target 2%? Now, I'm not so sure, and in this video, I'm going to talk about why I think inflation might go up, why that would cause interest rates to go up, and the impact on the property investing market. Also, we need to think about what's the effect of the budget that was last week, where Rachel Reeves announced that stamp duty on second homes, there's going to be an additional charge of 5% going up from the previous rate of 3%. That's a 66% increase. That's what we're going to talk about in this property education video. So hello, my name's Simon Zutshi. I've been investing in property since 1995. I became a live-in landlord at that point and a proper landlord by 1998. And by 2001, I managed to leave my corporate career because the income from my property was enough to cover all of my living expenses. By 2003, I'd completely replaced my income. And that's when I started the Property Investors Network. It was the very first property-specific networking anywhere in the UK for property investors. It's been running for over 21 years now. It's now the largest and obviously the longest running property networking anywhere in the UK. And we now have meetings in the Netherlands as well. And back in 2003, when I started that, people said to me, Simon, how come you don't have to work? So over 21 years ago, I started teaching people like you how to become successful investors. I've written a book called Property Magic. It's an Amazon #1 property bestseller with over 100,000 copies in circulation. I'm still actively investing in property, and I am very, very excited about the current property market because there's a huge opportunity for you and for me and anyone else who's switched on right now. And let me explain in this video exactly why it's a good time for you to be investing in UK property. So let's talk about a few things. First of all, as we've seen, as we expected, the interest rate has come down. Now, this is really good news because in February 2022, the interest rate started to go up, and that was in response to the double-digit inflation we had in the UK, which kind of happened because of COVID. Now, obviously, there was a lot of money spent by the government to bring the business, the economy back into full swing. They did a great job, I think. And actually, we saw inflation as expected. The Bank of England used interest rates as a macroeconomic tool to try and bring down inflation. So during the past government, the Conservative, Rishi Sunak's real goal was to bring inflation down to the 2% target. It didn't quite achieve, but because it came down massively, the Bank of England started to lower interest rates. And we're now currently today at its 4.75. Now, by the way, there's another decision just before Christmas about interest rates. So interest rates could go down further again if inflation stays below the 2% level. However, I'm not so sure that's going to happen. I don't believe the fact that inflation is only 1.7 at the moment. I guess it kind of depends what you're actually measuring. In the summer, we heard the announcement that the government had agreed to give a 22% pay rise over a number of years to young doctors. Now, maybe they deserve that pay rise, they worked really hard, but still, that's a very big pay rise. Recently, in the budget announcement by Rachel Reeves was that the minimum wage was going to go up by 6.7%. And also, I think a lot of the unions are going to be asking for inflation-busting pay rises. Now, if everyone's being paid more, it means they've got more money to spend, which is going to come into the economy, and we're going to see a rise in prices. We're going to see inflation go up. So who knows what's going to happen? I do hope that interest rates continue to fall, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. It really depends how long it takes for this increased spending to come through, and maybe we'll see interest rates fall this year, and then inflation might go back up, and then we might see inflation go up. Now, if inflation just goes to above 2%, they might continue to bring interest rates down. But the challenge is no one really knows what's going to happen. Should you wait? Should you wait until we see what's going to happen with interest rates? Well, my belief is you shouldn't wait. I believe right now is an incredible time to be buying property, and let me explain exactly why. We are in this buyer's market. That means there are more people looking to sell than there are looking to buy. And with the recent budget announcement of an increase in the additional stamp duty that we pay as property investors when buying a second home or an additional property from 3% up to 5%, I think there are going to be a lot of property investors who are sitting back saying, you know what, I don't think deals stack up really, I'm not going to buy property. Now, this is what happened before. Back in 2016, the then Conservative government increased stamp duty to an extra 3% for property investors. And a lot of people then said, oh, property investing doesn't work, it's the death of property investing, it doesn't stack up anymore. But guess what? We just got used to it, we factored it into the price, we negotiate a better price, which is exactly what's going to happen now. But it will take a little bit of time for people to adjust. But what I can tell you, we are seeing more and more landlords are continuing to sell up and get out of the property game. Now, you always have some people coming into the industry, some people exiting the industry, but for the last 7 or 8 years, we've seen an increasing number of landlords leave the industry. And I think it's mainly because of the way the UK government, the Conservatives at the time, decided to introduce Section 24. And that was a change to the way we, as property investors, are taxed. What that meant was if you own property in your own name, which most people did, and if you have a mortgage, which most people had, and you're a high rate taxpayer, which not all, but many property investors are, it means you can't offset all the interest against your profit to reduce your tax. So we had this situation, what I call the double whammy for some landlords. So obviously interest rates started to go up from February 22, and they went up to 5.5%. And what that meant was that it was much, much higher than the maybe 2 or 3% that people were on when they had variable mortgages, because the Bank of England had such a low rate for the last decade or so. At 0.5% was the base rate. So effectively, most landlords were paying 2 or 3% on the mortgage. So many people have had a doubling or sometimes a tripling of their interest payments. So imagine you've got all your rates going up, but you're not actually allowed to offset all of that against your tax. What that means is you could have a property that's not actually making you any money, but on paper it's making a profit. So at the end of the year, you have to pay more money to HMRC. This is why many, many landlords have been selling up their properties over the last few years. And with the changes of regulation, and we had the Renters Reform Bill, now called the Renters' Rights Bill, which is coming in, but more rights for tenants, there are many landlords who are saying, I don't think it's worth it anymore, and I've had really good capital growth over the last 10 or 12 years on my property, I'm just going to sell up and get out of property. Now, with the change in stamp duty, there are less people prepared to buy property. So what this means is lots of people want to sell, less people prepared to or who can afford to buy. So actually, we're going to see an increasingly worse position for people who are trying to sell their properties. We're going to see more and more sellers become motivated sellers, and that's why I think there's some incredible opportunities right now. Particularly if you say to someone, look, we can get a deal agreed before Christmas. That's a really big psychological anchor for them and a reason for them to want to sell their property. So I think no matter what happens in the property market, if you know what you're doing and you can find truly motivated sellers and look to help solve their problem, it's always a good time to buy. So it's great news that interest rates have come down. They might come down further in December, waiting for the next announcement, but just watch out for inflation. I think that could be the fly in the ointment that means actually we might see rates start to go up next year. So what does this mean for the property market as a whole? Well, I think we're not going to see much happen for the next few months as most people sit back, they take in this extra 5% stamp duty they've got to pay. They might be happy about the interest rates. They might expect interest rates to come down further. And I think it's going to be in spring 2025 when you normally get a bit of an uplift in the property market. I think we'll see more people coming back into the property market. Obviously, interest rates might be lower if inflation stays low. People will be getting used to this 5% charge. And I think people will think, right, now's the time to get back into the market and start buying property in the UK again. That means we've got this opportunity between now and between maybe spring 2025 to get out there and make the most of this incredible buying opportunity. So I encourage you to get out there. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. I have lots of training videos about exactly how you can make the most of the market, what you should be doing right now, and hit the bell icon to make sure you're notified whenever a timely video like this comes out. And also, please like the video and come and comment below. What do you think about Bank of England base rates? Do you think rates are going to come down? Or do you agree with me that inflation feels a lot more than 1.7%? Inflation might well go up, which means the Bank of England might start to put rates back up again. So I'd love to hear what you think. I'll come and comment on as many as I can. In the meantime, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. I'll see you in the next video.